we are introduced to a man who is just lying on the floor and he is alone. He wishes for an end to his lonely life. He wants to start over in a life where he is not alone. Suddenly, he feels hot as if it is like being in a mother's womb. He sees a bright light in front of him. He hears someone planning to call him Ash and another person agreeing with it. The man is surprised to see that he has reincarnated. As the woman picks him up, he finds it warm in there and wonders why it is comfortable. He finds the love of it so comfortable and assumes to have a good life ahead. However, he is surprised to see that there are spirits. He gets reincarnated as the son of an aristocratic nobleman in the remote village of Larn. In the world, there is true summoning magic. The nobleman's relationship with orthodox true magic is profound. A guy performs a swift attack with fire. He is Juno. His younger brother and mother praise him from behind. Their mother is assured and says that the Hawkwood family will be safe. However, in his comparison, Ash Hawkwood's fast attack is quite weak. Not only his brother but their mother is also disappointed in him. She says that there is no doubt about it that the amount of absolute magic power is the same since his birth, and nothing can be done to change it. Ash Hawkwood zones out after hearing them. Suddenly, Juno attacks Ash with ninja technique and puts a cut on his cheek. Juno apologizes to Ash and flexes over him about how much magic power he has and what can he do with his flames. Moreover, he says that this is to be a nobleman and their value as a person at least. He calls himself 10 times more valuable than him and says that there is no place for him as he is just entertainment, and asks him to go elsewhere by saying that incompetence is contagious. Their younger brother comes to the scene and says that that is too much. Juno says that he just told the reality and they both start laughing at Ash. Ash feels frustrated. Their mother goes near Ash and says that it is not contagious but it is an obstacle. The world is ruled by true magic and true magic is directly related to status and honor. She says that the practice will resume and tells Juno that she is counting on him. Ash does not go with them. Instead, he goes in the opposite direction thinking that in the end, he reincarnated after inheriting his childhood memories. So he could not pair up with children his age due to his mental age difference. He thinks that he cannot keep up with them due to his distrust of humans in his former life. He has earned the contempt of his family. Now he is alone. Ash lays down on a stump and thinks that a mother is always with her child, even if the whole world becomes her enemy. He has no power and no talent. He could borrow the magic power from the evil spirits and he has so much courage. It is forbidden to borrow the power of spirit magic. Those who use it are persecuted and imprisoned. Spirits cannot be seen, but in the case of Ash, he has been able to see them more and more. He says to himself that the only talent he has is to be alone. Suddenly, he hears someone shouting. As he gets up and looks around while hiding behind a tree, he sees a slave being treated like an animal and she seems to be sick too. The slave touches the guy and he pushes her away and calls her depressing. The other guy laughs and asks him to be careful or he will also catch the disease. The guy wonders if she is really sick. The guy looks at her lustfully. The other guy says that she is just a shy beast, as well as fierce. The guy thinks of doing something wrong with the girl as he says if he closes his eyes. The guy proceeds to touch her. She tries to ask for help. The guy asks who would want to help her because no one would be such an idiot to help a slave. Ash wonders if anyone would have helped him if he was a slave. He hears the guy say that even if she is not a slave, no one would help her. Ash thinks that she can be similar to that slave. The guy continues to torture her mentally by saying that she is just a disturbing sick beast, and no one will save her as she is abandoned by everyone. The girl starts crying from all this. Ash recalls that he used to be a guy who was not needed by anyone and he used to not question his existence. As the girl starts shouting for help, the guy grabs her head ordering her to move. Ash finally decides to help her as he keeps getting flashbacks. Seeing how the girl was getting tortured, Ash finally decided to help her. He dashes towards the guy and punches him in the face. As the guy gets up, he splits out blood while wondering what actually happened. He orders them to release the girl. Both of them surround Ash. The guy says that her prince has appeared and tells him that he can free the slave under certain conditions. Ash gets distracted from his words and the other guy kicks him from behind. The guy comes up and puts his foot on Ash's face. He spits out the tooth that broke up because of Ash's punch. The guy says to the other one to release him from the cage. He releases a big bear with long nails from the cage. As the bear dashes towards Ash to attack him, the girl jumps in to protect him and she gets her back slashed. Ash feels stupid to think that he could save her. He calls himself a lonesome incompetent who couldn't save her. The girl gets up and asks him to escape while she distracts him. Ash says that this is his fault. The girl shouts at him and tells him that she is a slave and also horrible and will die quickly. She also tells him that nobody helped her. She was constantly abandoned by everyone. She thought she would die alone, but it happened to be different as Ash helped her. The girl cries in happiness as she says that she is no longer alone and thanks Ash for saving her. She requests Ash to run away, but he still denies it. He decides that he cannot leave her no matter what happens to him, as he thinks that he needs power to save her. A spirit comes in front of him and says that she likes that answer and will help him. As she kisses Ash, a bright light appears and everyone gets blinded by it. The bear still proceeds to attack the girl. After performing his attack, the bear feels proud of himself. However, moments later, he realizes that his arm got slashed. Then they wonders who actually he is because he was scared a moment ago, but now he just cut a bear's arm. On the other hand, Ash is trying to comprehend everything and realizes that his body has power now. The spirit says to him that if he does as she says then he can win, and tells him that he must answer yes or no. As Ash tells her that he wants to save her, the spirit gets impressed with him and asks him to concentrate his spirit and let the energy flow. At the same time, the bear proceeds to attack him. Another bright light appears and Ash runs towards the bear with a sword. Before the bear could attack Ash, he slices off the bear into 2 pieces with his sword and the bear falls down. Both the guys were surprised and could not comprehend how did Ash split it in 2. The girl also could not comprehend all that and was just surprised. Ash then orders them to free the slave. The spirit swaggers and says that all humans are trash after all. Someone falls down. The other kid asks him if he is alright and asks him to change his clothes while he picks the broken vase up. While he cleans it off, someone comes to the scene and asks what are they doing and who broke the vase. The kid who broke the vase blames the other kid for it. Deep in his memory, in the face of pure evil, his heart breaks. Ash wakes up and wonders if it was a dream. As he gets up, she says in a frustrated behavior that he finally woke up and calls him a sleeping beauty. She is Shiru, the spirit of the wind. Ash recalls that he saved the slave with the help of the spirits. He recalls that after he orders those guys to free the slave, he starts losing his sight and eventually faints. He remembers the girl and asks the spirit what happened to the slave girl. Shiru asks him if he really wants to know. Suddenly, Ash gets struck with a thought and wonders why he fainted in the first place, and wonders if it is because of what he was told that spirits equals evil and maybe she wants him for something. He then decides to not trust her so easily. Shiru asks him why he is looking at her like that. After he tells her, the spirit bursts out of anger and says that that is why humans are so despicable. She tells Ash that he fainted from using her spiritual power to his limit. It is the same when he ran out of magic power. She says that in the end, everyone is a liar and stupid. Ash tells her that he agrees with her but also wonders why doesn't anyone say that spirits are not evil. Shiru thinks before answering him as he is a human too, and tells him that it is because most humans cannot see them. She can see that Ash is special and says that if spirits are bad, humans are shit. Ash agrees with her and says that if she had not helped him in the first place then he and the slave girl would have been killed right then and there. He apologizes and thanks her for everything. Shiru's eyes brighten up. She turns around and thinks that it looks like some humans are not that stupid. She then proceeds to tell him that the slave girl will be taken to the slave company in the city Gare to be sold. While Ash thinks that he does not have any kind of relationship with the slave company, Shiru says that he does not have to go out of his way to help and asks him why he is doing it. After listening to her question, Ash thinks that there is something that he has not told anyone yet. He recalls what the slave girl told him about her being horrible and realizes that if there is no buyer then she will be killed. However, he even realizes that her situation is almost decided. Even if she is bought, she will be turned into a sex object and eventually discarded. He wonders if he should answer Shiru by saying that he didn't thank her for saving him or if he should say that he is not a man that stays halfway. In the end, he says that he could buy and set her free. He continues by saying that he does not like the fact that he feels like he owes her something. She is a half-beast. She could be of help and humans wouldn't normally help. Shiru is impressed by Ash's answer and decides to go and set the slave girl free. However, Ash says that it is a long way and they do not have anything like a horse to go there. Shiru understands that he is underestimating her. Moments later, he finds himself flying very fast. He realizes that flying with magic could be done by any advanced magician, but here they are really flying. 1 hour later, they reach the border town, Gare. Shiru wonders why don't they fly nearby. Ash says that it can't be helped because it would be a problem if they found out he is using spirit magic. After some time, Ash and Shiru finally reach the slave company, Berea. As Ash and Shiru go inside the slave company, they see a lot of slave girls behind mirrors. Ash is surprised to see all the slave girls. Shiru stares at Ash sideways. Ash decides to go inside but Shiru does not agree to do so. Therefore, Ash asks her to wait there. On his way in, Ash is stopped by a huge man who says that he senses an unpleasant child and tells Ash that children are not welcome there. Ash calls him a huge gorilla. The huge man asks him to go home to his mommy. Ash tells him that he has come to buy a slave. The huge man asks him to get out as he can tell by the smell that Ash does not have gold on him and the one who has no money is not welcome. Moreover, he says that if he wants to be a slave then he can remain as a product. Ash gets serious about it and in an instance, the huge man finds himself naked with all his clothes torn apart. Ash moves on while saying that he should go to an otorhinolaringal. Shiru praises Ash for what he did. Ash wonders why are people judged by their looks. Shiru tells him that he is the owner of the people store and he cannot judge people visually. Ash is surprised to hear that as the owner just ran away but naked. Shiru then says that maybe he does not sell slaves and maybe she offers all kinds of options to be happy. Ash makes a crazy face and Shiru is surprised to see such a repulsive face of his and calls him a freak. Ash realizes that in the end, she is still a slave and there is no problem paying for it. However, Shiru wonders what the huge man meant when he said that he does not smell like money. Ash asks her if she really believes that lie. He tells her that he is still the son of a feudal lord and this is a rural village. Shiru points in a direction and they both go in that direction. Ash looks around and sees a lot of mentally disturbed and physically tortured slaves and asks what about these slaves. He finds it very different from what he saw at the entrance. Shiru says that they can tell a big difference between these and those, although these are her real ideas about slaves. The cover and content of a slave society. Despite the fact that slavery is recognized in this world as human trafficking, Ash does not like it. After some time, Ash and Shiru finally find that slave girl, and they ask her if she is alright. The slave girl asks them why are they here. Ash notices that she looks very weak and with her illness and an exposed wound, she would not last long. He decides to do something and act fast to save her. He notices that her price is set to a large gold coin which is apparently the lowest price in the store. Ash is surprised to see that it is the lowest price and the slaves in this store are very expensive as one large gold coin is equal to 1 million yen. Shiru decides to tease him by asking why he doesn't just buy it and asks him if he does not have any money even though he had said that he is the son of a feudal lord. Shiru suggests he should sell things from his home as it might be manageable then. Ash just denies her idea. Suddenly, the huge man comes back and says that this slave girl is available. He says that it costs money to keep a useless sick slave alive. At least it serves as raw food. Shiru gets pissed off and asks Ash to just kill this guy. The huge man then says that he can give him a special price. Ash knows that this guy is just messing with him for what he did to him. Ash still asks him for the special price to sell her. The huge guy shows him 2 fingers and says that he will see him in a week with this. Ash is surprised to see that the special price is 2 large gold coins, but he still agrees to pay double. However, to his surprise, the huge man did not mean 2 large gold coins. The huge man meant 20 large gold coins. After correcting this, he asks Ash to give up and go home. Shiru suggests that the best thing to do is to kill him. However, Ash says that he was saved by that little girl. The huge man understands that he is appealing to emotions and considers him just a kid. He says that if he cannot handle that then he should better beat it. Ash recalls everything that had happened to him in the past and concludes that it does not matter what he does and decides to not be like them. He then concludes that he will pay 20 big gold coins in a week confidently. He entered the game to help the girl. Shiru wonders who is he going to do that. It finalizes that Ash will have to pay 20 large gold coins to buy her. Shiru just feels like killing the huge man. Ash has a question to ask that slave girl and goes to her. While they talk, Shiru wonders what it is. Ash thanks her and says that in a week, he will be back with the money. This is what he said back then. However, after coming back, Ash realizes that he has no plan and no idea about how will he pay him. He starts to panic by thinking that 20 large gold coins are approximately 20 million yen and he only has a little less than 1 gold coin with him. He wonders if gambling will be a good option but concludes that he needs more than luck to get that much money. Shiru scolds him by saying that it is irresponsible to promise a large amount of money that he does not have in such a short amount of time. Ash tries to justify himself by saying that he really wanted to help her but then he realizes that he just wanted to return the favor and wonders if there is no way to do it. Shiru says that he does not need to say that as she knows a way and asks him to just follow her. Shiru takes him to the borderlands where the countryside, mountains, and the valley are all visible. Ash is surprised and confused about what are they doing in a place like that. She asks him to stay quiet and shows him a unicorn while hiding behind bushes. She says that she thinks that he can earn more than 20 big gold coins by selling the horns, as they have great healing power. Ash wonders if it is difficult to get a unicorn horn. Shiru tells him that there are 2 basic ways to get unicorn horns. One is to remove the horn from a dead unicorn which is discarded because it is unlikely to find one in a week. The second way is to hide and attack the unicorn. She tells him that he must be close enough. This method is also difficult unless he is an expert hunter. That leaves them with the last way, which is to use spiritual magic. Shiru tells Ash her ideal plan to get the unicorn's horn. According to her plan, Ash will approach the unicorn from the sky with an invisibility technique and shoot with a wind spirit arrow. Ash wonders why he needs to approach the unicorn from the sky, as he can do it just with invisibility from the ground. Shiru tells him that the unicorns might detect him as they retain a wild instinct, but doing it as it is now is impossible for him. Ash wonders why is it impossible, so Shiru tells him that for wind wings, invisibility, and wind spirit arrow, he needs to activate 3 spiritual techniques at the same time. No matter what he tries, Shiru knows that it is absolutely impossible for him to activate 3 spiritual techniques at the same time. Therefore, Shiru makes some changes to her plan. This time, he will have to disable invisibility when approaching the limit. He will be able to achieve this if he shoots the wind arrow immediately. But even with this method, he must use 2 spirit techniques at the same time, and Shiru believes that Ash needs a lot of training to achieve it. However, Shiru is surprised to see how easily Ash manages to use 2 techniques at the same time. Ash decides to go for it right away, but Shiru stops him as they do not know if he can master it. She suggests him to try shooting the tree while he is flying. Ash assumes it to be easy and shoots the spirit arrow towards the tree. The spirit arrow misses the tree. Shiru repeatedly teases Ash for being so cocky. Ash realizes that if he concentrates on aiming, the wind wings will be weak and the balance will be lost. It requires high concentration to work with 2 techniques at the same time. Ash gets frustrated by Shiru's provocations and shouts at her. Shiru believes that it is because of the spirit level and the connection he has with it that allows him to activate 2 techniques at the same time, which is why it was easy. She wonders how he will do in the future, and she is already excited about what he does. Ash tries to attack the unicorn, but his wind spirit arrow misses the unicorn. He realizes that he needs to think calmly. If he concentrates on flying, shooting will be difficult, and if he concentrates on shooting, then he will lose his balance. Activating 2 spirits at the same time is only a part of it. Also, the transition between invisibility and wind spirit arrow is also a considerable burden. Ash asks Shiru if she knows a way, but she does not know anything either. He then finally decides to not avoid it and keep practicing. He tries to hit the fake unicorn countless times for 4 days, but he could not hit it even once, and he feels quite disappointed. He has only 3 more days left. If he does not get a horn after that, then he will not be able to save the slave girl. Ash starts to rage because he finds it hard to do 2 things at the same time. Shiru tells Ash that he has been doing 2 things at the same time. He has been drawing horrible doodles while talking for a while now. Ash lives in an art capital before the Renaissance. Ash thinks about talking while drawing doodles deeply and gets struck by an idea. Ash thanks Shiru and goes away without saying anything. That day, Ash was just practicing to summon invisibility and shooting the wind spirit arrow, and he repeated it until he fainted. However, instead of fainting, he was falling asleep. After countless tries, the next day, Ash finally manages to hit the horn of the fake unicorn. Ash feels motivated by this and decides to keep going. At night, Shiru goes to Ash and reminds her that the next day is the deadline, and that if he cannot catch the unicorn, then the slave girl will die. Ash smiles and shows her that he can make 100 shots and he can hunt the unicorn tomorrow. Shiru shouts for him and says that there is no point in struggling with 100 shots because he will definitely miss. However, Ash has fallen asleep without listening to her. Shiru also does not know what to do with him anymore. The next day, while flying, Ash finally finds a unicorn. He decides to get closer by using invisibility. He carefully goes near the unicorn and makes sure that he is not being perceived. As Ash decides to hunt the unicorn down, Shiru asks him if he will not come down. Ash smiles and lets go of his invisibility and attacks the unicorn with a wind spirit arrow. Ash breaks the unicorn's horn on his first try. Shiru is amazed to see how Ash managed to get the horn on his first try. Ash realizes that Shiru is wondering how he managed to do 2 things at the same time. He reminds her of talking while drawing good doodles. He got a hint out of that. It was good that she mentioned his own spirit technique. Except when he is sleeping, he has been practicing wind wings slightly activated. In the end, floating was as common as talking. Shiru goes near his face and starts pulling it while saying how cool he is. Finally, Ash and Shiru manage to get a unicorn horn. Shiru then decides to help him now. On the other hand, the huge guy goes to the slave girl and tells her that it is the last day. She is becoming more ill and cannot say anything. Ash is heading to the merchant to save the slave girl. Apparently, the unicorn horn is not a forbidden object, and that is why it got gold well. Shiru wonders where Ash plans to go now that he has got a lot of money. Ash now has 37 million yen and one unicorn horn, which is worth 74 million yet. In the end, Ash gets 37 big gold coins for a unicorn horn, and he thinks that he can even buy a mansion. It was Shiru who told him to take 2 horns as a precaution, though 1 was enough. After some time, they reached the Berea slave company and put the bag of 20 big gold coins in front of the merchant. The cage is open for the slave girl so that Ash can take her. Ash notices that she is riddled with disease. The slave girl says that she is not worth even a single big gold coin and asks Ash to not spend them on her. Ash sees that both her psyche and her body have been damaged. He tries to consult her by going close to her and telling her that she will be fine. The slave girl yells at him, asking him not to touch her. She then feels bad and asks him to not touch a disgusting person like her who looks like a monster. She then cries and requests him to not worry about her anymore. Shiru sees everything happening, and it appears to her that it is problematic to help her as she is not going to accept any help. Ash recalls that he used to be like this and he used to think only about himself, and that is why he felt lonely. He tells her that he was also abandoned by his family and he had no one to need him, but he wanted to change and become someone indispensable. That is why he is trying to help her, to offer help to those who do not have it. He thought he could be wanted to be needed. Moreover, he recalls that she tried to help him at the cost of her own life, which means she is still thinking about him. Ash then slowly goes towards her and comforts her by touching her face. He asks her not to worry about that right now as she is an important person to him, who he needs. Ash then once again asks her to let him help her. After all, she is his property. The slave girl breaks down in tears. Ash panics and apologizes to her if he hurt her. She shakes her head to deny that and thanks him while crying out loud. Ash wonders why is she thanking him, so the slave girl tells him that it is because no one has been this considerate to her since she got sick. All they were looking at was her body, and she really does not like demi-human men, so she ran away. While they have a little chat and come out of the cage, the merchant comes and throws the bag of gold coins towards Ash. He says that it is the rest after collecting a big gold coin because he is a merchant, and doing legitimate business with whoever has money is his policy. Ash wonders if there are actually 19 gold coins and starts counting them. The merchant continues by saying that it would be unreasonable to steal from the one who gets 20 big gold coins so easily, and if he is worried about the slave escaping, then he knows a surgeon. The slave girl interrupts him in between and says that she will not escape, and he does not even have to think about that. A week ago, Ash asked her what would happen if she escaped, and she told him that she would be hunted for life. The slave girl realizes that he is thinking of what is best for her, and she thinks that he is someone who is genuinely concerned for people. The merchant agrees with her and says that he seems to be a good person. After Ash is done counting the big gold coins, the merchant calls him and apologizes about the other day with a very nice expression. Ash and Shiru are surprised to see such an expression of the merchant. The merchant then says that he wants to apologize for the inconvenience and offers Ash to take an obedience collar. It is an idea that automatically starts tightening when the slave tries to defy him. Shiru finds it interesting, but Ash declines him by saying that he does not need it. Shiru tries to convince him by saying that he is offering it to him for free, as then decides to use the unicorn's horn. He brings it out and puts it on the face of the slave girl. Within a while, the slave girl's sickness is cured. The slave girl is confused about what just happened in a second. Ash just turns around and orders her as her master that she can live free from now on. The merchant is surprised to hear that and asks him if he is setting her free as her master. Ash agrees with him. The merchant calls it insane to buy a slave and just set them free. Shiru also says that he even cured her disease. The slave girl asks him if she is allowed to go free, and Ash allows her by saying that she can live however she'd like to. Understanding that she can do whatever she wants, the slave girl goes to the merchant. She takes the obedience collar from him and wears it. She then introduces herself to Ash as Angela and greets him. Ash is surprised to see all that and asks her if she is alright. She assures him that she is alright and asks him if he needs her while hugging her arm tightly. Shiru, on the other hand, laughs at this development with Ash and is sure that it will go well. Ash, who is now Angela's master, returns to the Unicorn Meadow. Wondering what to do now, Ash concludes that neither he can take Angela home with him nor he wants to go home because that would go poorly. Angela asks her master where he lives. Ash replies to her by saying that she does not really have a place to call home. Angela smiles and says that it is just like her. At first, As does not get what Angela means to say. Suddenly, she gets struck by an idea and goes a bit away from Ash. She looks at Ash and calls that place their home. Ash realizes what she means and smiles. They then decide to build their house. They create a blueprint of the house with a stick and then decide to make a bed first. While Angela collects dry grass from the surroundings, she notices Ash and wonders what he is doing. He then gets up and starts ordering her to continue with her work. Once Angela collects enough grass, Ash casts a spell that enlarges them. Ash sees that Angela fell because of his spell and runs towards her to ask if she is okay. Then Shiru gets curious and asks Ash if he is a virgin and that he shouldn't feel shy. Ash nervously changes the topic as he realizes that they are almost done with their house. But then he saw Angela and couldn't resist her anymore, and they made love after that. While sitting in hot water with their backs toward each other and having a wall in between them, Angela says that they didn't finish it after all. Ash says that he could not focus at all. Later on, he asks her what she meant by just like me when he said that he didn't have a house to go back to. Angela asks him if he really wants to talk about it. She proceeds to tell him by saying that it all happened very fast. Some soldiers slaughtered everyone in her hometown. She was caught and turned into a slave. Angela wipes her tears and apologizes for talking too much. Ash then stands up and says that he has decided to make that place their own hometown. A place as warm as a welcoming family. He will build a place to come back to. Angela misunderstands it as her becoming Ash's wife and starting a family. She thinks that it will be a mating season soon. When Ash suggests increasing the number of people, Angela is surprised and wonders about making children so soon. He then proceeds to say that first of all, he would like a slave who can teach him spiritual techniques. Angela gets confused and asks him what he means by that. Ash then tells her that they are going to create a great kingdom there, a sacred place for slaves. Angela is surprised to hear that. Ash continues by saying that there are many slaves who have nowhere to go. Besides, he does not like the slave system. Ash then asks Angel if she likes his idea. Angela starts crying and says that she is glad that he is her master. After Angela thanks her, she speaks out loud that what Ash's idea means is that there will be no mating. Ash agrees with that and asks if beast people have a mating period. Angela feels shy and does not say anything at first. When Ash asks her once again, she denies it and tells him that it is for her to decide. Back in the slave company, some people were looking at a slave lady and asking her to show her breasts. They tell her that they will not buy her if she does not show them. Suddenly, the three of them start levitating. They get turned upside down and fall down on their heads. They are in great confusion about what just happened. A lady and a spirit smile at them. A lot of people are seen shouting aggressively at a slave lady by giving her death threats. However, she remains calm even after all the death threats and aggressive shoutings. At a different place within the town, Angela gets to dress properly for the first time. She finds the dress really cute and asks Ash what he thinks about it. Ash agrees with her and says that her underwear will not be seen in those clothes. The shop attendant suggests her to check other outfits as well. Angela is excited about buying the new outfit for herself. Later on, Ash and Angela go back to the Berea slave company. The merchant warmly welcomes Ash. Angela gets angry while wondering if her Ash-sama is thinking about buying his next slave even though she has cute underwear now. It seems that the underwear making techniques in this world is unusually developed, but that is a question for another time. Angela is worried about not having any time alone. Moments later, she sees a slave lady who is wearing clothes indecently. Angela wonders what if a person like that becomes her Ash-sama's slave. Angela thinks of something lewd and decides to not let that happen. She puts on her own clothes indecently. She calls out for her Ash-sama and tries to show off, but Ash just asks her what is she doing. Angela feels disappointed and says that failure is the source of success and she will succeed someday. On the other hand, the merchant asks Ash what kind of slaves is he looking for that day and tells him that he has some very nice ones too. Ash tells him that he does not care about age and sex, but before he could say anything regarding magic, there happens to be a burst behind him. He turns around and is surprised to see a huge fire. They see that something is on fire. As they go towards it, they find out that it is a dummy burning. Shiru wonders if a dummy just spontaneously combusted. Ash wonders if someone tampered with it. The merchant shouts at the people standing and asks them what they are doing and orders them to go back to their cages. Ash wonders what is going on and wonders if they are criminals or slaves. They just keep on saying that they are going to kill the rebel. Ash also wonders if there is something going on between them and the elf is according to what he said. There seems to be a dispute between the slaves due to their affinity to magic. In this country, two types of magic are known: true and spiritual. Spiritual is usually hated by the true magic users. Ash asks the merchant if it is alright if the slaves are out of their cells. The merchant asks Ash to rest assured as they won't leave the building and guarantees his safety too. Ash is still worried as he is not sure if this old man has the power to guarantee that and wonders what he thinks he can do. The aggressive death threats continue as they say that only true magic should be allowed to exist. Ash recalls that it is said that the hunt by magic supremacists is radical. Finally, the elf speaks up. She asks what they say and asks if they intend to take justice into their own hands. She says that she thinks that they are just afraid of something different. She then calls the true magic zealots just incompetent humans. The true magic users burst out of rage. One of them summons 2 of his monsters to kill her. Ash sees it and thinks that he is a rebel like him and wonders what is his skill. However, before they could do any harm to her, the merchant uses his magic and orders them to stop. The merchant's magic binds the slave's neck with a ring that tightens up on his command. The merchant again orders them to go back to their cells. The rebel agrees to do so and the merchant lets him go. The merchant once again orders all the slaves to go back to their cells. After panting for a while, the slave that got his neck squeezed decides to take revenge and attacks the merchant from behind. But to his surprise, a ninja comes up and puts his blade on his neck, making him bleed a bit. Ash is surprised to see how he acted so fast. The slave wonders if he is the one who protects the merchant. The merchant orders him to take the slave into the training room. The slave refuses to do so and tries to run away. He runs towards an open window to jump out of there. He thinks that he will make it as he just wanted to get rid of that scum. He thinks that someone had to get justice and he has acquaintances out there. He believes that he will kill all the slave traders, the rebels, and their friends too, and show them how justice is done. However, before he could jump out of the window, he gets beheaded and his head falls out of the window onto the road while his body just stands right there. Everyone is shocked to see what just happened. Ash tries to comprehend that the slave's head got cut off when he tried to escape. He is glad that he didn't take Angela with her by force. The merchant turns around and looks at Ash. He comes to him and tells him that the rules state that he can only kill them if they are guilty or if he kills them inadvertently, or by accident then he can contact them. Ash wonders if someone can be killed accidentally. Ash then thinks that maybe he should not get involved with him. Finally, the merchant asks Ash if he has made a decision. While Ash looks around, Shiru suggests the elf lady to him. Ash then tells the merchant that he has made his decision that he wants that elf lady. Shiru says that it was very easy to find a spiritualist and Ash says that he is pretty sure that he can learn spirit magic from her. The elf realizes that there are still people around her. As Ash says that she is pretty cute too, the elf puts something on his face and makes him unable to see. She wonders if he thinks that he owns her and says that he must be dreaming. Ash grunts intensively at her actions. Ash was trying to buy an elf who can use spirit magic, but that slave is not going to be easy to buy. She questions Ash if he is going to be her master. She tells him that he must be dreaming and puts a mud mask over his face while asking him to go to sleep. Angela and the merchant run towards Ash and ask him if he is alright. The merchant apologizes by saying that Remilia is a slave of the first rank because she used to belong to the upper class. After Ash wipes the mud from his face, he is surprised to see a spirit next to the elf. The merchant scolds Remilia for always causing trouble. He then apologizes to Ash and says that he will punish her accordingly. Angela comes to Ash and tells him that she may have caused trouble on purpose. Ash wonders what it may mean by purposely provoking the heretic hunters. The spirit then comes to Ash and tries to tell him something as she flutters. Remilia orders the spirit to come back and she sadly goes back into the cage. Shiru continues the childish voice of that spirit. Remilia picks that spirit in her hand and tells her something while she just sits there and listens to him. Later on, the ninja comes back and the merchant orders him to take Remilia to the back. While he takes her to the back, Ash asks him to wait. He tells the merchant that he does not have to punish her and asks him to not take her away as he will buy her. Remilia yells at Ash as she tells him that she will not obey him. The merchant interrupts and tells Ash that it is just as she says. Ash is confused about what he means to say, so the merchant shows him that she is worth 500 large gold coins, which is about 500 million yen. Shiru and Angela are surprised to see that. Angela realizes that even though she was sick, that is 500 times her worth. The merchant then reminds Ash that it is because she was a high-class elf. Ash smiles and tells him that he will be back with the money in 3 days. Shiru and Angela are amazed to hear that. It is then decided that the merchant will see them at the Berea Slave Company in 3 days. Angela gets an idea and suggests Ash to pay in advance to keep Remilia safe. Ash tells her that he is not doing it for her safety but because he needs her to learn spiritual magic. Angela just smiles and agrees with him. Ash is confused and asks her what is she laughing at, but she does not tell him anything. At the same time, Shiru has been thinking about something. She then asks him if he can really afford 500 large gold coins. Ash just smiles and tells her that he has got it all planned out. Shiru is still worried and wonders if she can really trust him with that. Ash then asks them to just go back home. Later on, Shiru and Angela are surprised to see 30 unicorn horns, which is a lot of money. Ash tells them that he had collected unicorn horns in case something like this happens. Shiru thinks that she hates his smug face of him and wonders what is with that hee. Shiru is happy to see that Ash did not just act on impulse. Ash tells her that he had thought that it would be good to have a reserve. Unicorn horns are forbidden, that is why they are expensive, and there are 20 of them. One horn is worth 37 large gold coins, so 20 of them are worth 730 large gold coins, the equivalent of 740 million yen in Japan. Ash then realizes that he will have to go straight to the black market, and once he gets a connection there, then it will probably be dangerous. He wonders if he should keep Angela out of it. After he tells her that he does not want to take her with him, she starts yelling that she will definitely be going with him. Ash finds her determination overwhelming. Ash wonders if he will be able to hide themselves with the hidden clothing spiritual technique in case of an emergency. Angela just wants to keep an eye on her master so that he doesn't buy another slave without her approval. At the black market, Ash tells a merchant that he would like to sell 20 unicorn horns. The merchant is surprised to see that many horns. He tells Ash that he cannot handle that volume at that time, so he decides to introduce him to someone who can handle it. The merchant thinks for a while and says that he is unsure if Ash can have a successful personal transaction. Ash tells him that he is asking because he really needs to sell them. The merchant understands what he means and tells him that he cannot guarantee that it will turn out well. He will have to be polite and honest. Ash smiles and thinks that he is not sure if he can meet with an important partner. After some time, the door opens and a well-dressed man enters the room. The merchant introduces him as Greed Thunder, a black market merchant who is also an executive in the Thieves Guild. Greed simply smiles and greets them. Greed says that he wants to trade right away while making it a clean and fair deal. Ash is surprised to hear him talk about clean and fair while being a black market merchant. Greed asks Ash if he can ask a few questions to him. As soon as Ash agrees with him, Greed asks him where he got the unicorn horns with a serious face. Ash feels that something is wrong with the atmosphere. He asks Angela to back up, but he then notices that she has been captured. Little later, Ash realizes that he is surrounded. Greed asks him once again to answer him carefully, as everyone is going to walk away from this as a winner. He threatens Ash about losing Angela if he is not honest. Ash tells him honestly that he got those unicorn horns in the meadow, crossing the mountains of Albus. Ash looks at Angela and wonders if it is a demonic summon that captured Angela. He cannot ignore the other 3 people too. Ash realizes that this may be too much for him, as he cannot believe how naive he was, because if he knew this was going to happen, then he would have ordered Angela to stay. Greed proceeds to ask Ash another question. He asks Ash how he managed to get them. Ash replies to him by saying that he used magic. Although saying magic is over-understood as real magic, he cannot be totally honest. Greed then asks him if he did it, and Ash agrees to him. Greed then asks him to use one of his techniques. Ash thinks deeply about which technique should he show. However, if he uses spirit magic, he will not be able to come to the city anymore. Besides, he could end up being chased by heretic hunters. If he tells a lie, Angela will die, but he considers Angela as his priority. Ash thinks that if he could just openly say that it is spirit magic, then things would have been different. Ash continues to think about the right move. Suddenly, Angela speaks up and requests them to not bother her master. She tells them that her master, Ash-sama, does not like the slave system, so he wants to free the slaves to form a country for them. One of the guys orders the girl to shut her mouth. Ash decides that he has no other choice but to do it and finish them off. Suddenly, Greed starts laughing loudly because of what Angela said. He calls it a ridiculous confession. Greed then happily agrees to make a deal as he apologizes for what he did to Angela. Greed tells them that he usually acts from time to time, which Ash and Shiru did not like at all. As Greed and Ash shake their hands once again, Greed pulls him closer and whispers to him, telling him to never use his spirit magic in the city. Ash is surprised to hear that he already knows that. Greed suggests Ash to publish his martial arts enough to protect his wife. Angela feels pleased to be called Ash's wife. That is how Ash got a strong contact and realized his own weaknesses. After Ash, Angela and Shiru go back to the Berea Slave Company to buy the slave elf. They still have a long way to go, as the slave elf is still not listening to Ash. She asks him to stop looking at her. Ash is frustrated by this behavior of her. Angela tries to convince her by telling her that her lord is very kind. Remilia tells her that she cannot trust him. Angela also says that he treats her like his own child. Remilia does not want to hear anything and tells her that people whom she respects very much told her that human men are in heat all year round. She expects that he will make her do nasty things. She has protected her body for whoever decides to be her partner someday. She would rather die than be forced to do something wrong. She tells them that she has been protecting herself for 3,000 years. Ash and Angela are surprised to hear that she is a 3,000-year-old virgin woman. Ash realizes that this distance will not get them anywhere. Ash swears to her that he will not force her to do those things. Remilia thinks that he is lying and starts throwing stuff at him. Suddenly, a bottle of energizer that improves vigor falls down and Remilia gets angry to see it as her trust issues increase towards human males. Ash just wonders when he bought it while Angela tries to act like she does not know anything. Ash then asks Remilia if she can use techniques like camouflaging clothing and sylph wings. Remilia tells him that she has learned a wide variety of spiritual techniques. Ash is glad to hear that and asks her to take them back home with sylph wings while hiding with camouflaging clothes. Remilia is confused why he wants her to use both of them at the same time. Shiru says that it can be difficult to use two spiritual techniques at the same time. Remilia tells them that she belongs to the best branch of elves. Ash tells her that he can use both techniques on themselves. Remilia says that she can do it alone and wonders if Ash can really use two techniques at the same time. Remilia is amazed to see that Ash is really doing it and he is fast too. While going back, Ash looks back and sees that she is slow. He wonders if he can really learn spiritual techniques from Remilia. As she finally reaches him, Ash asks her if that is her maximum speed. Remilia yells at him and tells him that it has been a long time since she last flew, so she is just getting used to it again. She also says that having him around is annoying. Shiru reminds Ash that she cannot really escape. Therefore, they decide to go ahead and wait for her. As they leave, Remilia says that she is not slow. Instead, they are just way too fast. Remilia recalls that she heard that the stronger the spirit is, the stronger the magic. Great power corresponds to a powerful spirit, and if one is not careful, then it can be dangerous too. Remilia notices something happening in the forest. A girl with her clothes torn was running away from a certain person in a forest. The person says to her that if she does not run away faster, then she is going to die. He tells her to run away as if her life depends on it. Otherwise, he will not have any fun. He attacks her and she falls down. Her leg gets severely injured. As he prepares his next attack, he tells her that this is his final attack, and if it hits her then she will lose one of her limbs. However, before he can attack her, Remilia comes and stops him by telling him that she has fainted. The guy asks her if she wants to take her place. On the other hand, while going back to their house, Ash thanks Angela for insisting. He says that he could not do anything at that moment and thanks Angela for always supporting him. Angela feels pleased and she hugs him tightly while telling him that she is lucky to have him. Ash panics and tells her not to hug her so tight as it is dangerous. Angela then tells him that she is sure that everything will be alright. Ash then hears something within the forests and looks in that direction. In the forest, Remilia has been trying to fight against the man who attacked the other girl earlier. He asks Remilia where was all that excitement from a moment ago. As she gets up even after getting injured, he attacks her once again. She gets hit by the rock pieces multiple times. He concludes that she is a tough elf as even after taking multiple hits, she is still not giving up. He asks her to let him appreciate her body a little more. Remilia asks him how could he possibly win with his terrible eyesight. He laughs and asks her if she thinks so. He pierces one of her legs and asks her not to give up yet as Elf is someone who fights until their last moments. He finds his asymmetry as a flaw instead of beauty and pierces Remilia's other leg too and calls it a perfect symmetry. He asks her to enjoy the perfect symmetry to its fullest. Remilia is in a grave danger. After the man pierces both of her legs, he says that she has regained her beauty. However, before he could do any more harm to her, he gets hit by someone's attack and gets tossed far away after crashing into multiple trees. Remilia is surprised to see such an attack. It is Ash who saves her. He asks Remilia if she is alright. Angela puts clothes over her and tells her that they will help her with her wounds. Ash tells her to rest assured that they will take care of her without leaving any scars. Remilia gets emotional and asks Angela if she has water. Remilia wipes her tears and says that she is fine as she can use recovery techniques. Ash praises her and tells her to check that out. He had covered that man's face with mud. That man says that her protective prince has arrived. Remilia is amazed to see that and smiles. Ash says that he looks better with dirt on his face. Ash, Angela, and Remilia make fun of him for having mud on his face. He busts out of rage as he prepares to fight back. Ash decides to take care of this on his own. As he attacks Ash, Ash manages to deflect them all with ease. Ash yells at him and tells him that Remilia belongs to him and the one who messes with what is his will pay dearly. Remilia still acts out of ego. The man yells that he never loses and prepares a big spiral attack. As he yells that he will not forgive him for making fun of him, he releases the attack which happens to destroy everything in contact. Remilia creates a guard around her and Angela to protect themselves. As the smoke goes off, Ash says that it is a bit inefficient to use the wind spirit sword as a shield and it serves as his training. The man is surprised to see that Ash is still standing. Ash then calls it his turn. As he dashes towards him, the man does not get any chance to block and gets punched and kicked multiple times. Remilia praises Ash and Shiru as Shiru accelerates his movements with wind wings. The man falls down and has no other option but to apologize and beg for forgiveness. Ash orders him to apologize to Remilia and release the slave. The necklace comes off the slave's neck. Little later, she wakes up and Angela asks her if she is alright. Ash tells him that the slave did not listen to his apology, so he tries to apologize repeatedly. Ash is not satisfied with that and decides to attack him, but just before that, Angela calls out for him. Ash looks back and sees Remilia denying him from doing something like that. Ash calls it a lucky moment for him and orders him to never show himself ever again. The man bows down to him and says that he will never ever see him again because he will die, and tries to backstab Ash. However, before he could reach Ash, his upper body gets eaten up by a big monster. Something worse appears in front of them.